Hey YouTube, I thought I'd do a video today. Actually, I'm going to do two videos. I did my range test, throttle only, set on cruise. Used the cruise control to do the range test. So I'll talk about that in another video. But I've had a lot of comments on deliveries of lectric XPs and lectric 2.0s and people complaining about how long it's taking. So I thought I'd discuss the process of how a bike is developed, shipped, and ultimately arrives at your front door. So, since Electric isn't a traditional bike company that builds bikes from in a factory in the U.S., I believe one of the co-founders or founders of Electric is an engineer. And I believe, and I might be wrong, they started out as a skateboard company originally. Let me tip you up a little bit here. So it's they kind of went to the market and said, well, let's get into the electric bike business. So they go on Alibaba, AliExpress, one of those deals, and they start researching manufacturers, and they find a bike design and a manufacturer they like. So in this case, it's in China. Matter of fact, most of the electric bike manufacturers are in China, with the exception of a few in Germany, Europe, and Trek and Giant and Specialized. I'm not sure, but I probably would say they offshore their bikes and they develop them in house. Now, Electric goes to this manufacturer and says, "Well, we like your design, but you want to do these changes, and we want the bike branded Electric brand." So they grab product off the shelf and they say, "Okay, here's our logo. This is where we want it on the bike. We want a logo on our motor." And they choose a motor. They choose components. The bike manufacturer might not have flexibility in some components and flexibility in other components. So they choose the components, and the bike manufacturer puts a sample together. Electric buys it, tests it, and decides. In order to get the branding on the product, they have to commit to so many pieces. I don't know how many that is. It might be 1,000. It might be 10,000. So, Electric commits to 10,000 pieces initially. Okay, they put the commit, and the bike manufacturer says this is when your bike will be produced. Okay, they produce it, and then they arrange for shipping. The shipping goes on a container ship. In a container, let's say 10 containers end up on the ship. It heads off to the port of Los Angeles, which is the closest to where Electric's headquartered out of. It gets to the port, and it sits out there in the bay until it's called for its unloading. It gets to the unloading. But before it can be unloaded, Customs does their inspection, or sometimes it'll be after unloading, but for the most part, they're going to do their customs inspection. And for the most part, it's just a walkthrough to make sure there isn't anything in the containers that isn't supposed to be there. Just basic. So the customs releases it, and then they get a scheduled date for unload. Okay, you guys think that it happens immediately? No. First of all, there's priority loads. Those guys that are bringing in fresh and perishables, fresh fruit, perishable vegetables, whatever, they get first crack at being unloaded because their goods will spoil. So Electric at this point, Electric knows it's cleared customs, and they have a semi-solid date for an unload, which is fluid because if something comes in that was unscheduled and has to be unloaded first, it gets unloaded first. So lectric gets it unloaded. Those containers head off to lectric's warehouse somewhere in California. I used to know where it was, but I don't know exactly. But it's not right in the port of LA. It's somewhere around there. So those bikes go into a warehouse. Okay, and then they start making stickers and creating labels, shipping labels. FedEx gets a notification they have shipping label. Well, FedEx doesn't have the capacity to ship 10,000 bikes all at once. Say all of them are sold. So FedEx is going to say we can pick up 250 bikes a day, and they go into their system. Now, lectric usually follows it by invoice. They ship by invoice. So you guys get an invoice number when you get notified or you purchase your bike, and they ship by invoice number. So it's pretty much done in order, and how long FedEx takes to get to your address is anybody's guess. Sometimes it'll be 2 days, sometimes it'll be 5, sometimes it'll be 7. It just depends on how busy they are, and we all know how busy they are lately. They don't deliver anything on time anymore. So lectric can't give you a firm delivery date because they don't know a firm delivery date. They cannot guess how long customs is going to take to clear their shipment, or how long it's going to take for the port of Los Angeles to unload their load. Now, this isn't just an electric problem. This is an industry-wide problem. Anything that's coming from China has problems. One, there's a shipping container shortage, because at the beginning of the pandemic, they shipped a bunch of containers to Africa and third world countries that they didn't want to go back and get empty. Sometimes they pick them up empty, sometimes they wait for them to be loaded. So there's these containers that are all over the world that are empty that they don't want to go back and get because it costs them money that they aren't willing to absorb right now. So there's a shipping container shortage. There's the ports are busier than they've ever been, and there's a shortage of workers. Nobody wants to work. I don't know. That's what it sounds like. I don't want to work. And I'm sure most of you guys that don't enjoy your job don't want to go to work either. But, so lectric's doing their best for you. And I'm not making this up. I had to wait just like you. I waited 8 weeks for my bike. It said 4 to 6 weeks when I bought it, and it ended up being 8 weeks. Now, since it's a new product that a lot of you are buying, the 2.0, it's even taking longer for that because there's manufacturer delays too. And in some cases, the shipping's the main problem. China to Los Angeles, quite a ways away. It takes, I don't know, a couple weeks probably. Maybe even longer to ship to Los Angeles. So I ain't telling you to give them a break, but just keep in mind there's a lot of moving things. And if you guys really think lectric's bike is the only one built like that, you'd be wrong. Saunders makes an exact model. The only difference is Saunders has a different name on it and a different color. I don't know about the components, whether they're spec'd the same. They may be and they may not be, but Saunders does sell a folding bike with the same frame as electric. So keep that in mind when you think the manufacturers design a bike and then they go out and say, we'll brand it any way you want and we'll build it any way you want to a point. So there is some limitations on that. 20-inch wheels for fat tires is a rare creature. So the wheels, they may only have one manufacturer that's making that wheel. It's almost a motorcycle size, so I don't know. Maybe there's more, but they're trying to keep it lighter than a motorcycle wheel, because a motorcycle wheel really doesn't matter how much it weighs. It matters how strong it is and whether it meets the manufacturer's goal. But bicycle wheels, the more the weight, the less range you're going to have, and so on. So keep in mind when you order your bike that you're going to be in for a wait. And I'm sorry that Lectric can't give you an firm answer for when it's going to be delivered, because they just honestly don't know. They're not bullshitting you. They just don't know. And there's Bolton bikes I seen last summer where he was offering people refunds because he couldn't get a delivery date out of the manufacturer that was reasonable. A lot of these companies, that don't actually produce their own product, are at the mercy of China, and they have manufacturing problems too. And remember, there's a chip shortage. It don't matter if it's China, U.S., or what. So, and there is at least one chip, and probably more like 5 or 6 chips in electric bikes. There's one for the controller. There's at least one in the speedometer, and a couple in the back wheel. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that go into making a bike that you don't produce yourself. But just keep in mind, these are strange times, and it's taken these manufacturers longer than they want to. They would rather sell 100 million bikes to you and have them on hand, but unfortunately, even if they think they order enough to keep some on hand to sell to people, they're not doing it because they can't anticipate demand. They can't order 1 million bikes at once. They just ain't going to happen. So they order them in batches, and the batches come when they come. So 12 minutes of me talking about bike manufacturing. I am pretty up on the process because I actually thought about doing it myself. I was thinking, there's money to be made. I've done manufacturing before myself. I really don't want to get in the business of manufacturing. I'd really let somebody else do it, pay a price for that piece, and make my profit selling it on to somebody else. But I just didn't have, most of them are 1,000 minimum. I just didn't have 30 grand to put in, 36 grand or something to put in, plus shipping. It was another, I want to say $12,000 in shipping too. So when you see a price of a bike on Alibaba or AliExpress, and you see, wow, they're making that bike for $500, say, and Lectric selling it for $1,000, you think they're making $500 profit. They're not. They're lucky if they make $250. Profit margin on bikes has always been historically lower than what most people think. It's usually in the 30 to 40%. They make their money on accessories. It's like gas stations don't make money selling gas. They make it on selling the crap that they have in the store. So, if you have any questions, comments, please ask away. Like the video, dislike it, please subscribe. Thanks.